Processing a second crime scene at a home in Newtown. This is among the worst mass shootings in the country. Governor Dannel Malloy ordered at flags lowered to half staff in memory of the victims. President Barack Obama addressed the nation about this tragedy.
We've endured too many of these tragedies in the past few years. And each time I learn the news, I react not as a president, but as anybody else would, as a parent. And that was especially true today. I know there's not a parent in America who doesn't feel the same overwhelming grief that I do. The majority of those who died today were children. Beautiful little kids between the ages of 5 and 10 years old. They had their entire lives ahead of them. Birthdays, graduations, weddings, kids of their own. Among the fallen were also teachers, men and women who devoted their lives to helping our children fulfill their dreams. So our hearts are broken today for the parents and grandparents, sisters and brothers of these little children, and for the families of the adults who were lost. Our hearts are broken for the parents of the survivors as well. For as blessed as they are to have their children home tonight, they know that their children's innocence has been torn away from them too early, and there are no words that will ease their pain.
The president very emotional there as he spoke just a couple of hours ago. The president saying that he was approaching this first not as the president of the United States, but he was feeling this grief as a parent. He's a parent of 2 young girls, we know, and very difficult for him.
You don't have to be a parent to feel this.
Absolutely.
Everyone feeling it across the nation and across the world tonight.
There is a staging area set up in Newtown at the firehouse, and our Chris Coffey is standing by live. A lot of the families were taken there earlier. Some of them, we can presume, may
well, around
still
2:30 this afternoon, that's when we started seeing friends and family members of the victims walking into this fire station right here. We are pretty close to the school here in Newtown. This is the Newtown firehouse. A pretty large police presence still, ambulance presence, firefighters have been here. We also took a video not long ago showing just how devastating this has been for the families. We've seen people collapsing, and there's been a lot of crying. Here at the firehouse, they were also comforted by Governor Malloy. We've seen parents and grandparents and other family members, including many young-looking parents who have lost their children in the tragedy. Earlier, we saw Senators Blumenthal and Senator-elect Chris Murphy walking in to also show their condolences and show their support during this tragedy. A state spokesperson told us that they have assigned state troopers to each of the family members for the next few days, and they told us why they're doing it.
All right, Chris Coffey live there for us in Newtown. We want to go now to Amanda Rouse. She has been at the area where the police have been giving us briefings all day and passing along very critical information. Amanda.
Well, we just did get an update from Lieutenant Vance. Again, very vague details here. They cannot identify yet or confirm the shooter's identity, which we already know. And they also are not releasing any of the names of the victims that were shot in the school. Here is what we do know right now. Police say 18 children died at the school, 2 in the hospital. 6 adults also died in the shooting. It was around 9:30 this morning when a shooter came into Sandy Hook Elementary School and started shooting in one area of the school, specifically 2 rooms. NBC News reports that the shooter drove to Sandy Hook Elementary and started shooting people in the front office. Then he walked into his mother's kindergarten classroom and opened fire. It is reported that his mother was killed. Police say the shooter was also found dead inside the school. When police originally got there, they searched the school for the shooter and then started getting students out safely. They searched every nook and cranny in that school to get the students out of there safely. Some of the students telling us that they lined up in the hall and then were told to cover their eyes as they walked out so they wouldn't see anything. But 20 of their peers ended up dying in this tragic event. Governor Malloy came down to Newtown this afternoon to talk to those families who lost their loved ones.
Earlier today, a tragedy of unspeakable terms played itself out in this community. Lieutenant Governor and I have been spoken to in an attempt that we might be prepared for something like this playing itself out in our state. You can never be prepared for this kind of incident.
And now again, we just have some vague information on the actual investigation. What we're told is that the medical examiner's office is actually at the school. They're trying to expedite the process of getting proper identification so that then that can be released to the public. But we're also told that all the information before it's released to us will be released to the families. One thing that Lieutenant Vance just said was that each family has been assigned a trooper or